So this is about how when somebody in Louisiana dies and they owned a vehicle, what's the simplest way to get that vehicle out of their names and into the names of perhaps one of the heirs. So a vehicle, you can handle it like any other asset that was titled in somebody's name. You can, hire the lawyers. We can go through the full-blown court judicial proceeding, get judges involved, and judges sign all these court orders after detailed descriptive lists and accountings and all of that are done. But if a person owned a vehicle, they've come up with a kind of a simpler way to handle the vehicles. So I have here the Louisiana Department of Public Safety and Corrections Office of Motor Vehicles. They're what's called Affidavit of Heirship. And so if you comply with all of the terms of this affidavit, you can get a vehicle transferred after somebody dies without jumping through all the hoops. So let me just walk you through that so you'll know what you need. First, it says at the top that you have to provide either a copy of the death certificate or a published obituary. So that's a piece of it. And then you have to have all the vehicle information. And then you have to check off a couple of things. You have to check off whether the person had a will or whether they had no will. If they had no will, then it's determined that they died intestate without a will. And if they had a will, then you have to attach a copy of the will or a notarized statement by one in lawful possession of the original summarizing the disposition of the vehicles contained in the will attached. So let's say, for example, husband died and he had a will, and his will said, if I own any vehicles in my name when I die, I leave them to my wife. So he died testate with a will. And then you also have to check off whether you're attaching the certificate of title or whether the title can't be located. And then some people have to sign and have their signatures notarized. So in our example, husband died, he had vehicles maybe just in his name or maybe in he and his wife's name together. And so now they're stuck, they can't sell the vehicle. So he had a will, he left his vehicles to his wife. So now that surviving wife has to sign on the part where the surviving spouse has to sign and get the surviving spouse's signature notarized. And even though he had a will and he left it to his wife, because the will is not going through the courts, has not been probated, the Office of Motor Vehicles wants all of the deceased husband's children or intestate heirs to sign off on this paperwork as well. So even though it's just going to the spouse needs to sign, get the signature notarized, and then all of the deceased husband's owners' children need to sign off on this affidavit and get their signatures notarized. It says here, if there's more than 4, please attach a supplementary list. So when you do that, then you submit all of the required paperwork at the Office of Motor Vehicle. They won't need to see all these judicial, court orders. They'll accept this. And in our example, they'll put the name, they'll put the vehicle into that surviving spouse's name. A little bit different scenario if the person didn't have a will. Again, it depends on whether they left a spouse and children. If they didn't have a spouse, then the children would be the only ones to sign off on this. And then sometimes, once this is done, if everybody involved wants that vehicle maybe to go to one of the children, then maybe there's some type of act of donation done with this so that the new owners can transfer their interest in the vehicle to that person that they want to donate it to. So bottom line here, person in Louisiana died, they have a vehicle, one or more in their name. You can go the old-fashioned route, the full-blown succession, probate, courts, judges, lawyers involved, or you can comply with the Office of Motor Vehicles Affidavit of Heirship, get them what they need, get all of the necessary signatures notarized on the affidavit, submit that, and then that'll be perhaps an easier way to get that vehicle retitled. So then, whoever can go sell the vehicle, trade it in, use it, insure it, drive it, and life goes on. So hope that helps. There's your deal. Affidavit of heirship, Office of Motor Vehicles, getting vehicles retitled after somebody dies. Hope that helps.